Hiya, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, we have a Citroen Berlingo, and I've got some new brakes to put on it because the brakes that are on it are quite well worn down and the discs have got quite a nice lip on them, so we're going to change all of that shit and put new ones on. I'm hoping that these are the right ones because I ordered them a while ago and it's probably too long to swap them now. I think they'll be right, but let's see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've lifted the bonnet up. And for anyone wondering, the bonnet state is there. I'm just going to lift the lid off the brake fluid. So it's got somewhere to go when we push the pistons back. Now ideally you should undo the bleed nipples, but unless you're going to do it like a Neanderthal and proper ride on it, you do it nice and slow, then you shouldn't have any issues pushing them back and just pushing the fluid back up to the master cylinder. So I want to do that now nice and carefully. And the easiest way is often to wedge a screwdriver in between through this hole and get it in between the disc and the pad as long as you can, and just do it nice and slow, and then you shouldn't have any issues. Yes. That seems to be all the way back now. And then we can nice and lovingly take this spring off and get that foot off out the way too. Right, so if we look on the back now, we have got these caps which are covering up probably 7mm Allen keys, but I haven't looked yet, but I'm assuming they're going to be 7mm Allen keys. So I'll pull them off and then we'll see if they are in fact the sort of standard 7mm Allen keys. And then we'll remove them. They're in fact 7mm Allen keys. So I'll take that one out, and I'll take this one out underneath, and then we can lift the caliper off the bridge. So now both pins are out, we can take this off. And you don't want to hang it on this, on this, which you can't see because it's off the camera, but on this, you don't want to hang it on that because it'll ruin it. So you just balance it on there nice and carefully, where it can never fall off. And when we take the pads out, we can actually check them to see if they look like they're the right ones. And rather boringly, they do look like they could be the right ones. That is really boring. So that means that we've got to get on with it and we can't fuck it off. So now we need to take the caliper bridge off, which is an E16 inverted Torx bit round here. There's two of them, and there's another one right above it. Yes. Now we've got that out of the way, we can actually take the disc off, which is two T30s. I think that was enthusiastic. Let's give Samuel Jackson a go instead. And that's putting up a bit more of a fight than I expected, because this is actually a lot newer than the shit I usually work on. So I didn't expect them to be seized on, but it appears that they are. So I'll have to keep on hitting it. Right, I've turned the steering and put it out of gear so I can turn the disc as I hit it, so it's not to keep on getting it in the same place. And I'm just going to have to struggle with it, which I'm not really going to be able to show. Yes. Now I should probably check that the discs are at least right, which I've already checked and they do appear to be right. So a good one for that. These are from Zach Auto Parts on eBay, which I've used a few times and they've always been really good. So that does appear to be correct, but first I need to clean up this face before I put that onto there. Fuck it, that'll do. Now we have got these, which I should have done this first after, but I need to put a bit of copper dick onto these so they don't seize in the future. And obviously they've got to be torqued to spec. I have no idea what that spec is, but they've got to be torqued up to spec. I mean, you can leave these out if you want. It just makes it harder to put the wheel on. These really just hold the disc in place while you're putting the wheel on. So anyway, let's get to the next bit, which is, I'm going to put this back on, but first I need to clean it up. Like a new one. Ready to be put back where it come from. And of course these are torqued to spec, as you can see. Click. Click. Now that's back on. We've got this bit, which is not going back on yet, but before we put it back on, we do want to give it a clean, especially on this bit where the pads sit against. So just give it a quick toss up with a wire brush. Nice and carefully, as you can see. That'll do. So now we're ready to put the pads in. So we have a front pad and a rear pad. That one goes into the piston on the caliper. This one, we just put a little bit of copper dick around the ears. Now you can put a bit more on the back of it, but if they've got the rubber anti-squeal shim built into the pad, then you don't really need to. In fact, it's probably counterproductive. So let's put it on them bits there, which sit against this bit here, and it stops it from seizing up against the bridge, really. And the same goes for this one. So this has like little fingers that go inside the piston. Quite awkward to put in, actually. Yes. Then we put the same again, bit of copper dick on the bit of the pad that touches the caliper bridge, and then slide this over the top of here, and then we've got to put our pins back in. But first, let's use a bit of Autosol to clean them up, because they were quite stiff to come out, which could result in binding brakes. I've shown in other videos that no one's actually watched, so I'm just going to give this a polish up. Better, and I'll put a little tiny bit of silicone grease on them as well. And obviously torque to spec. Yes. And a nice finishing touches of the little johnnies that we took off before, now refitted. Not to forget the finishing touches. We've got this spring, which goes back on nice and struggly, because I haven't got any pliers to put it on with. So I'm just going to struggle with the incorrect tools rather than go and get the correct tools. But would you expect anything else? Yes. Now I need to obviously pump the pedal to bring the brakes back to life. That is now one side completed, but I'm going to use a bit of brake parts cleaner just to clean off the disc and give it a wipe over, because they do come with transport grease on them. Even though these felt pretty clean, actually, they didn't feel greasy. But just give them a wipe off anyway to get my fingerprints off it. Then we'll throw the wheel back on, and I'm going to go and do the other side, which I'm not going to film because it's just going to be boring watching it twice. Even more boring than watching it once. Yes. Right, so wheels back on, obviously torque to spec. And now, like I said, I'm going to go and do the other side, and I'll come back once I've done that. Now the other side is also done, so that's us pretty much done. There's just one thing left to do. and that is to put the lid back on this. But then if you look closely, you can see that a little bit is spilt out. And brake fluid, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really attack modern paints and stuff, but you don't want to leave it on anything. Best thing to get it off with, people think brake cleaner and stuff like that, it's not. Just soapy water is the best thing to get brake fluid off. So just give it a rinse off before it fucks anything up. So anyway, I think that's it for this one. I think we're pretty much done. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Here's just someone to tell me what I've done wrong, so yeah, go ahead, do that. And I'll see you next time.